Hello, hello. How's it going, everybody? It's gonna be a bit of a quick stream today. Got a hard stop. Today we're gonna look at tooling, and I would qualify anything GUI tooling counts too, but primarily like CLI type tools. So tools that you'd use doing development, primarily used to the terminal. And I've found that I'm moving more and more towards tools written in Rust for a few reasons. It tends to be fast, and the OS integrations tend to be very good because the compiler cross-compiles well, and there's enough crates that you can have very specific features for very specific OSs, depending on the use case. So I've found that when I'm looking for CLI type tools, it being written in Rust tends to be a good signifier that it's going to be something that is going to be very useful for me. And part of that reason is because I tend to do dev on Windows, Mac, Linux primarily through WSL or Windows Subsystem for Linux. I want support on all three of those, so I don't need to figure out tools for each of my platforms. So that's why I tend towards whenever I'm looking or interested in tools. Occasionally, once a month, once a quarter, I'll see if there's any new changes in the space. I tend to search just for tools that are written in Rust at this point. So I think that's what we're going to kind of do today is just when I kind of do my quarterly, see what's out there, see if there's any nifty new CLI tools, if there's updates. We're gonna kind of do that on stream today, and this is what we find out. If you have any tools that you like, especially ones that are written in Rust, feel free to drop it in the chat or in the comments below if you are watching afterwards. Well, we're gonna just jump right into that. Nope, I want to do this. Let's make this just a little bit bigger here. I tend to look at GitHub and the Explore tab. Honestly, this is probably the only time that I actually look at this, partly because I don't really use the topics or the trending. The Explore tends to be pretty good for me, because anything that I have an interest in or viewed and starred, that actually seems to follow me pretty well. Oh, that's kind of cool. So I tend to look at this as well as I think if we go into trending and then language, I tend to find a lot of tools written in Rust through this. Some of it is in general, I like to be aware of the Rust ecosystem. So there's other things in here. We just actually went through eGUI a little bit. What's that? Oh no, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, I think. So we'll get other libs and crates and such here as well. But I'm okay with that. That's also things that I want to know. Polkadot. Helix, I think, was it John last week had mentioned Helix? I think that was Helix. I've seen this before. I don't know if this one actually works on Windows or not. Many of these type of things tend not to be Windows, because the Windows processes are different enough from Mac to Linux. Interesting. I've looked at this a few times. Rust Dusk. I used to run TeamViewer on some of my computers strictly so I could just get to it through my phone. I don't really anymore. But I've definitely been keeping an eye on this just because it is kind of a space that I'm interested in. Having multiple computers and little servers, especially as we've been getting into the little electronics like the Raspberry Pi that we've done stream a handful of times. Those sort of things are kind of useful. I've looked at Z-Oxide. I don't know that it supports. Is that Windows that it doesn't support? I don't remember. We'll take a look at it though. Python linter. Interesting. So let's look through the tabs that we opened up. So Polkadot is I wish it would tell me like what this is. Okay. Those. Not something that I want to look into. I'm pretty sure I've looked at this before, and I'm pretty sure they have a section for CLI tools. I believe there's a couple awesome lists that people have compiled over the years. So this does support Mac, Linux, and Windows. Interesting. I don't know that I have an immediate use for it. Because some of these things I tend to run like a separate program to monitor. It's interesting though. We might come back to this because some of this, I don't know that I necessarily want this in my terminal. But this might, something of this sort might be kind of neat with a Tory integration. Let's just save that one. I did open up Obsidian on the side here. I might just start dropping some of these links. I'll end up probably pushing this out to my website, and I think some of it today, but I think over time I'll add all the tools that I actually use on this node, so then I can easily link it whenever we're talking about it. So I don't think I'm gonna keep an eye on this, hence the let's put it under watching. I think I'm gonna do, let's say tools, and then I'll do like one that I do use. Granted, I wish there was a little bit more of that, a little bit more with the integration that I would appreciate if they added, but complicated things. And I think I have another note for it actually. Volta. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm gonna need to. I don't know if I will necessarily end up writing about everything here, but I might end up looking out. We'll think about it. But we're gonna come back around and look at the tools that I actually have installed right now, at least on this system. All right, SniffNet. I feel like this is Like this is new from when I looked at it last. So do you need some separate things? I mean, it's kind of nifty, but I guess it's kind of cool that they have like IPs and ports and stuff. So like I could do this on the like within my router or switcher or whatever potentially. But I think I'm gonna get actually deeper information through this, which is interesting. I can't tell if it's actually a GUI or if it's a terminal app. Okay. I mean, unknown. I think I'm also gonna save that too. Because, so there's, especially a lot of the testing that I'm doing recently tends to get into starting up and testing servers at the like HTTP layer. So the idea is that you like start up the server that you care about and anything that it's like reaching out to, either as like a simulated version of the service or the actual service itself. And then within my tests, we have a harness where we can control like hooks. So we can push a webhook or something like that, and it acts just like it would in production, other than the like what service is hitting. So the idea being that we can change an environment variable or two, and our tests can be reused and hit either a simulated endpoint or like a real endpoint. So I don't think I'm actually gonna play around with it now, but I'm gonna write it down. So Rust Desk, yes, we've looked at Rust Desk a few times. They have. I'm presuming this means that we have an app available now, which is kind of nifty. Looks like it's on F-Droid. F-Droid is like a open source store separate from like the Google Play Store. Don't see where what does it support? So you need to use a server? I thought I had support for other things other than just Linux, but a quick scroll says otherwise. They've got a server. Yeah, I feel like every time I look at this, I'm like, oh, that looks kind of cool, but then it's never anything that like is going to give me immediate benefit, so I just don't go any further than that. But speaking of immediate benefit, I've looked at this before, and like this is kind of cool. It does some things with helping with CD. But honestly, I don't tend to do enough moving around the file system in the terminal that this actually ends up being beneficial, because I tend to use VS Code for multiple reasons. But once I like get to the directory, all I'm doing is running a command, and I'm not actually like moving around in the directory or within the tree that much, that having a nicer version of the change directory function would be beneficial. It does have Windows, Mac, and Linux, which is cool. So every time I've come to this, it seems like something that's nifty, but it never... I don't think it's anything I might get personal benefit from. Somebody that's using like Vim maybe, where you tend to be moving around the file system a lot in your terminal, this might be something that would be useful. Apparently I opened it twice. All right, and FD, find entries in your file system. I feel like this is the same situation. Anytime I need to do find, I mean, so there's the Windows like system like file indexing, which is pretty awful if I'm being honest. It used to be pretty good. I feel like it's gotten worse over the past, especially the past couple of years, or past couple of iterations of the OS. So most of my searching ends up being, if I need to search for something, I'm either searching on GitHub, in VS Code, or like here, in Obsidian. I've got all my notes in Obsidian. If I need to search, I'm searching in Obsidian, because it has built-in like fuzzy file searching type thing, whereas this is all on the just on like the file names basically. So like it feels like something that would be nice to use, but I never really find a value to it. And I'm also I think this starts to roll into things that I am currently using. I also use new shell. This is also written in Rust. It also has some of these things in here, so the more and more that I use new shell and get used to their functions, especially as I haven't actually put it on my Mac yet. I keep meaning to do that, but just everything else gets in the way of configuration, I guess, and fun things. And I'm actually pretty good about not being distracted by configuration. I'm perfectly okay working with something that's like 80%, even if there's something out there that'll be 90% with an hour or a few of setup. But I think once I put this on my Mac, like honestly, it's going to cover most of the things that I like: filters, file system stuff. I don't really need to change directory things either, and this has some like auto completion in here. Send a prompt maybe. Oh, this is new gstat. I'm gonna have to try that. It's got like built-in databasey type things. A bunch of like processing type things, as well as what's a network do? Okay. We can do queries, like in the vein of curl. Get a port from system. Oh, that's kind of cool. Nifty. Is there one for like finding? I actually read an alias that helps find ports that are in use and what processes are using them, so I could kill it. especially if like node gets hung up and holds onto a port and it's just like a zombie process that I am unable to get rid of. I've got an ALE set up to do that. Query web, wow. Some viewers, explore. Huh. I think the table is the default, and that's the one that I tend to end up using in most of my commands. Because default, but the other ones are, I think the other ones are newer. Either way, though, highly recommend New Shell. I've been using it for a while. When I first started using it, it was definitely on the. Obviously, it was newer because time. But it's been steadily improved. They've been really good about like moving the project forward, which is neat to see. And it has, I feel like for me, it has crossed that threshold where I am concerned about using it versus not. And concern being I don't necessarily want the tool to like reduce my productivity, but like some of it, if there's benefits to using it, those cons might outweigh those benefits. And like it's honestly not that risky because I can always just switch back to one of the other shells if I need to do something that's very shell specific. Last year sometime I feel like is about when it crossed that threshold for me, and I just haven't installed it on my Mac. More so because I wasn't doing a whole ton of dev on my Mac. Now I am, but I haven't had time to actually get it set up there. That's going to happen soon though. I'm going to go ahead and add that straight away to here though. New shell. I think I also have a new shell thing in here too. New shell. It's not going to live like that. I think I'm going to end up saying a little bit about it here, and then just potentially point to like expanded articles of these. I want this to be a little bit more bullet point-y, but feel more bullet pointish. Because that being said, what else do I have? So on Windows, I tend to use Scoop. There's, I guess, 3 maybe now you would say. Package managers, tooling managers. What is Homebrew bill itself as? Package manager, I guess. Okay. OS level package manager. Maybe that's sort of the way to say it. But there was, I think Chocolatey was the first. Scoop came around. I tend to prefer Scoop. There were programs that were only on Chocolatey, so I was using both of them for a while there. But everything that I'm currently using is on Scoop, so I've switched over to using Scoop pretty exclusively. And this should give a list of all of the apps that I have installed. Starship, that's one that jumps out at me immediately. Also written in Rust, and that does the prompt. So like this nice looking prompt there, that's controlled through Starship. Alright, we are going to actually, I said more bullet pointy, so we are going to make it more bullet pointy. And I can always reformat it a little bit later. I think I have a thing for this too. Starship. What else do we have? Must have needed less MSI for something else. I don't remember. We got a couple other tools here. Condo, I think, is written in... Is that Rust? No, not Condo Marie. Condo... Say CLI. It is written in Rust. I'm not kidding. I feel like everything is slowly and slowly becoming Rust based on my computer. I don't have one for that yet. Condo. We will start one. This is neat because, especially working between JavaScript, TypeScript, that ecosystem, Node, Dino ecosystem. Well, I guess less Dino, more Node, and Rust. The node modules and target directories all become large. I tend to play around with a whole handful of projects, especially with the stream. Like once a week, we're talking about something potentially new. Starting up a new project or whatnot. I don't need a target directory created every week with a handful of gigabits taken up. So it's kind of helpful to scrub them every so often. And this is really nice to help with that. So you run it in a directory you run it at a path. So dot for the current directory, and then it's going to go through and scan for node modules and target. I don't really use any build directories. It is not necessarily going to replace like a reset command or something in like a node project. That might have a node modules, like a TypeScript build info, a dist directory. It's not going to clean out all of those, but the node modules is definitely the biggest one. So if I am specifically doing this as a way to better save or more easily save space on my hard drive, this is a quick way to do it. So definitely appreciate this one. What else do we have? mkcert is written in Go. That is to help create local developer HTTPS certificates. K9s I think is written in Go as well. I tend to use that a little bit off and on because if I am working with Kubernetes, I end up using this a fair amount. But it's not something I tend to jump in and out of having to deal with Kubernetes. So there's weeks where I'll literally just leave it open the whole day. And see, this one also had, well, I mean, we had it installed in Windows, so. I think this is written in Go. K9s. Go, yep. Which makes sense because that ecosystem is very Go based. So any of the tooling in that ecosystem tends to also be written in Go. I think perf3 is like a C++ or something like that. perf3 scoop. It's just gonna point me to the directory. Home page. What is this written in? I'm not seeing it now. They might not actually even have it on. Here we go. Okay. They do have it on GitHub. See. Okay. I already passed the VSC extensions. I presume by VSC you mean VS Code? What else do we have? I'm not gonna really add K9s and iPerf 3 as a tool per se, like at least on my tooling list. Not because it's not written in Rust, but because it's something that I'm not using constantly and it's in very specific situations. So it's kind of its own separate thing in my mind. Same for Helm and like Go Releaser. But some of these other ones. Oh, I do have Bottom installed. Look at that. Well, I'm not gonna run it. I don't remember what 1Password is written in. But their CLI. You create a template, and you're using their CLI. You can, from your 1Password vault, pipe in secrets to it, either on the fly when running the binary, or as like a static templating type thing. So that's really nice for doing like shared credentials when like I'm running a server locally, and that instance needs a handful of credentials, you know, like access to credentials for a dev version of a GitHub app. That's really painful to like share around with the team, and the 1Password CLI makes that situation a lot easier if your team happens to use 1Password. Bat is really cool. I am just in my main directory. Bat is I guess I can't run another directory. Oh, it's waiting for a pipe. Let's see. Let's go look at, what should we look at? Yeah, sure, why not? Let's look at a package.json. I tend to do that pretty often. Bat is very similar to, whenever I resize it just gets wonky. Bat is very similar to cat, except with more. You get sort of the syntax highlighting, which is nice. You get the line numbers, which is nice, especially when you are like pairing with somebody or talking about something, and I'm in the terminal or somewhere where it's quicker for me to check it out using, like if I'm in the terminal right or at the moment, it's just as fast sometimes to do this, and that tends to be, I tend to keep my current working directory at the root of the project that I'm working on, which I think probably is part of the reason that I tend to use it for the package.json often, because I'm trying to run a command and I need to like remember what the scripts are or whatnot. I also do have a helper, an alias written in, I think I've got it written in a new shell, or at least some of, I'm like piping in ls or something. And this is the new shell table, I believe. So this is a quick way just to grab all the scripts. And if you're interested in using this, check out, I've got a .files repo. Feel free to check that out, and I think all my aliases should be current in there, and that'll give you the new shell script to actually do this. Let's do, what else? Let's try TOML. Yeah, so the syntax highlighting is really nifty. Syntax highlighting and the line numbers. I really appreciate that. I think there's also, yeah, so we can do plain, we can do diffs. Theme, line, and line range, only print lines. So like we could do bat, package, block, dash R is kind of weird, but, oh, range, I guess. Okay, all right, all right, fine. Let's say 40 to 50, I guess. That's nice. Text wrapping mode. And it's got the paging. And you can do highlighting. That's kind of nifty. I don't feel like I would actually use that. Maybe. But I've definitely used the diff before. So that would be like, I guess let's just go ahead and open this real quick. I'll make a change, then we can do a diff. So now if I do a batch package JSON, it's there. What are these tildes are? These tildes aren't changes, right? I don't remember what the tildes mean. But we can do, was it -d? Yeah, -d. Maybe those are diffs. Because I didn't save it. Those are diffs. Yeah, so the tilde is keying you into where I change things. This is what we worked on last stream, and I never got around to actually committing it. Oh my. Anyways, all those tildes are cluing me into the fact that that's part of the diff. So I'm actually going to remove this since I've not actually committed it. I don't want to forget to remove it. That would be awkward. Yeah. All right, what else do we got? Scoop list. I'm gonna go ahead and add bat to this list. What else do we have? Dark. What is dark? Get UI is like a terminal based UI for get. So some of the I gotta do it inside of a repo. Kind of nifty. The diffs are nice. Again, I tend to do most of this in within VS Code. Let's see, dust. What is dust again? File tree. This is helpful for where's all my like file size storage going, basically. And Dust has you can do like depth. So I can say dust-t is 2 maybe. And that's actually going down 2 levels. So my node modules directory is in the top level. So it is actually doing the size for literally each of these packages that are in my node modules directory. And it does it pretty fast. It is impressive how fast it is. So like just the default, I think, highlights a bunch of the top ones in each directory and goes down like 2 or 3 directories. As soon as you start specifying the depth, it's very exact. Like if you do 2, it's going to do 2 for everything. But you can see here, 350 megabytes for my node modules directory, and then 180 for the parcel cache. So like this is something that Condo would remove. This is not. It's still taking up a fair amount of space though. And like my Git directory, I don't really want to get rid of that, but it's getting pretty big on this project too. So there's benefits in using each tool, is I guess kind of what we're getting at here. I believe Dust is also written in Rust. Yeah, it is. So there's also DU, which is not written in Rust if I recall correctly. But this one is. And like I said, this is something that I imagine would be very noticeable if it was. It is very possible that this is going to be something that's written in a way that is very slow. That feels worded odd. Rust, I feel like Rust is coming. Rust is making it easier for them to make code faster. Maybe that's, I don't know. Speculations, that's all speculating too as well. So, you know, my presumption being Rust and cross-platform, or Rust for speed and cross-platform. It's got a lot. So I think the more I do this and the more I look at tools that are written in Rust, the more I kind of just look for tools that are written in Rust. So we're gonna add Dust to the list. I don't think I have a thing for it. I'm actually gonna change this to lowercase. I don't remember if Condo was uppercase or not. And then dark. What is dark? Some of these I just don't use often at all. Ah. That would be why. Okay. That is very likely not written in Rust. Git filter repo. What is that one? Git? I think that might be a GitHub extension. No, it's not. I don't remember why I installed this. I suspect I had a specific use case for it. But I don't remember. I do not remember. I think that pretty much covers everything that I have installed though. Oh, I do have FD installed as well. So like if I would do that, it's just gonna find literally all the files. Is it waiting for a pipe? Oh no. Okay. FD that. Yeah. That's kind of nice. That is kind of nice. I will, so like I could do something like, I don't know why it's finding those. I was expecting these. I'm not sure why I was doing those. But like, the highlighting is nice. It's fast. I just don't tend to use it very often. Honestly, I could probably uninstall it. I literally forgot that I even had it on me. So for my use cases, it's nice. I have it installed. I think occasionally there's specific use cases that I will actually use it. But I'm just gonna say not used very deeply. What is SD? Search and replace. Find the sed. Is this one that's written in Rust too? Because sed, I think that's what it is. Because sed is not on Linux, or is it not in New Shell or Linux, or New Shell or Windows? And I think that's why I installed that, because I needed it. Does PowerShell have it? Yeah. I think I didn't have anything in Windows, and I needed something sed or sed like. Is that in Rust? Yep. I'm gonna add that one. Sed alternative. So I've literally went through everything installed, some of which I even forgot that I had. All of those are written in Rust. And it's, on some level, I'm kind of explicitly going through and finding things written in Rust. But also, I think, especially since one of my requirements is support on Windows, they tend just to overlap very well. This doesn't seem too much activity though. One other tool that I've been keeping an eye on that is written in Rust that I do want to use, but it doesn't quite have Windows support for yet. Yeah, Rust is sneaking into everything. They've started like rewriting bits of Windows into Rust, because some of the like, I don't know if it's DLLs or something, but some of those like low-level OS type files are starting to do like name_rs. So it's like, I think that's the Rust rewrite of it. Yeah, something kernel-y. And I mean, even on besides just Windows, we've gotten a few things into Linux. I think like the Linux core kernel stuff already written in Rust. I guess I'm fanboying right now. It's pretty cool to see the flexibility and the abilities of Rust to kind of be everywhere. But this is one of the places where I think it's still Linux and Mac because there's issues specifically with Windows. Not as a cross-compile sort of issue, but as like a... I don't remember what the issue is. But they definitely do not have Windows support still yet. I think there is an issue that I follow, which I'm not going to bother trying to search my notifications because, but I bet you it's pretty easy to. Interesting. There have been a handful of people compiling from source. I prefer to use Scoop for any of my CLI tools because I would otherwise not remember to update them. Like if I go, there's a list installed commands. There we go. Do I even have anything? I do have a few things. Yeah, I think it's for the most part it's Tori. Is there a library suggestion for Rust macros? I assume you mean macro. Are you thinking like little scripts, like write a script in something that's Rust based? Or are you talking literally a macro within the Rust language? Or are you thinking of, what was the other, like little scripts written in Rust that you can like set up as a macro? I think I'm gonna make an assumption here. Yes. Yes to which one? I'm assuming you're thinking little scripts. Yes, terminology overlap. Oh my, yes. Last one. Oh my, you're gonna have to help me out here. I don't recall which one was the last one I said. I think it was little scripts written in Rust. I think so. I think I'm going to give you an answer two ways. There is, we talked about No Shell a little bit, which is the shell that I mostly daily drive. It has, you can write scripts in like the new shell language, and this is written in Rust. And this, when you write those scripts, it feels like a more, I feel like I'm writing a more flexible version of Bash. A little bit less a little bit less cross-platform, because if I write a script, a new shell script, where if I'm like committing it or pushing it up somewhere, everybody else that wants to run it needs to also have new shell. So like that's a limitation. If you're thinking writing little scripts in Rust that you want to have available, I think the thing I would probably recommend is using something like Clap to write a little CLI, and or depending on how many scripts or how you want to organize your scripts, you can use Clap as like an entry point into all of these. But any of your Rust scripts you can run through Cargo, and you can install a bin from a path. So if you write a little Rust script that you want to be able to run, you can do a Cargo install to that local path and never actually need to even push it up to Git repository. Definitely recommend pushing up to Git repository in case your computer goes kablooey. But you don't necessarily need to publish it to crates.io, especially with something a little bit more personal. This use case is really nice because you can write either a Clap to wrap a whole bunch of little scripts you're writing, or just have a single script that you want to install and run occasionally. And this is literally running a Rust program. You will, anything that if you push it up to Git repository and pull it down on a different system, you'll have to do the cargo install there. But the trade-off is that the pushing it up somewhere that makes it usable for you is a much smaller hurdle to cross. What time we got? I think we're hitting about time. We didn't get back to this. Is there a CLI section in here? I guess they just have development tools is probably what I've gone through. I'll go ahead and drop this into here, but I'll occasionally check out this list and see if there's anything new here. And I presume that's something like Condo, FD. A lot of these are on here. So I'd presume that pretty much all the ones that we've gone through are probably going to be on here, honestly, because we're almost one-to-one where all the tools that I talked about and use on a reasonable regular basis are written in Rust. So they're probably going to be on this list. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome for the recommendation. But I gotta get going. Hard stop here again. Next week, I'm not sure what we're gonna do. I do want to get back into more Tori stuff, but there's reasons. I've been like specking out a new computer, and I kind of want to get that new computer up before I like dive into deeper Rust things, just because those compile times are sort of a drag on stream. Rust stuff and guests. Those are the things that I really want to get to very soon here. But those are probably not going to happen by next week. So TBD. But I will see you again next week. Same time, same place. Yes, please Tari streams. They do seem to be popular. There will be more. There will be more. Well, I definitely want to do more stuff, more mobile stuff with Jonas. We've already talked about it. But I really need to get this computer upgraded and to, at least for me, make it a much smoother process. But very soon, very soon. I want to do some Tori. Doing a lot of pointing today. I want to do more Tori videos as well. So I think I'm gonna start pulling out some of that stuff out of the streams that we've done, and have actual like more succinct, concise Tori videos. But future things. Feel free to drop in the comments if you have any ideas of things that we should go through, especially like if you've got a thing in Tori that we want to explore. Feel free to drop it in the comments, and we will get to it. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye.